Hey guys, and welcome to my video. So today actually I'm talking about all the character in the game. For sure that's the biggest video on my channel at the moment, as I will talk about all of the 14 characters we have on the game. I will talk about a lot of things when you try to choose your character. I will put them on groups so you can choose very well from all of this, and for sure will give you my advices on all of these characters and all of these things. So actually it will be a big video, so don't forget to support me, like the video, subscribe, all of these things, and let's begin this. So starting, I will go for races before I go for all characters, because races will make a lot of changes to your choices for sure for the characters. So I will go for races and which characters you can get with your race. So we have 4 races. We have Jin, Gon, Lien, and Yun. So we have all of these 4. So for Jin first, Jin is available on male and female. So actually it's kinda looking like the normal humans and anything like this. So kinda almost the same tall, almost the same anything. You can make it taller for sure, but it look like normal humans and have nothing strange about it. It's available with a lot of characters, as you can see, so you can get all of these characters when you play Jin. You can make the starters into Jin. Okay, for second one is Gon. Gon kinda the strong characters. You feel them like they are the muscles guys, or the muscles even girls, as they are available in female also. So kinda they are, you feel it so aggressive, or you feel them super huge. You can make characters maybe like 3 meters tall, something like this. You can even make a character, his head is above your screen. So kinda you can meet some giants because of them, and they are available with some few characters. Some of them is special for them, is that like a destroyer. You can't make any destroyer but just drone characters, so that's kinda something unique about them. And the other characters, as you can see, as 5 characters. For Lien, kinda we call them the rats on this game. Super short characters with cats ears and tails, or whatever. You can make them ears with ears for dragon or whatever the looking. You can choose a lot of from this things. Kinda a lot of girls like these characters, and a lot of guys actually like them also. I hate them. They are available also with about 7 characters, as you can see. Some of them is special for these characters, like Summoner, like Astromancer, and like Blade Dancer. These 3 you can't make them at any characters but just this type, that's Lien. For Yun, they are characters just on female and nothing but female. It's kinda lonely girls, a bit, maybe a bit thin, or you feel them a bit thin, have different looking on their body in general. So kinda I like these characters in general. They are looking good and they are so great, and they are available with a lot of characters also. Like you can see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 characters available. You can make them into Yun. So now let's go for our characters and begin talking. So for our characters or our classes, whatever you want to call them, we have a 14 character at the moment in the game, and every one of them have at least 2 specialization for every character. Some have 3 specialization, and I will tell you about this later. So anyway, our characters will be Blade Master, Force Master, Gunner, Kung Fu Master, Destroyer, Assassin, Summoner, Soul Fighter, Blade Dancer, Warden, Warlock, Archer, Astromancer, and last Dual Blade. So actually they are the 14 characters we have. I will begin to talk about every one of them. We'll give you the important information about every one of them. So starting with Blade Master first. One thing by the way guys, don't take the DPS you can see from the characters as something says this character is stronger or not. It's about my items and about my gears. As you can see, I have characters with different levels, so my best is my Blade Master. So actually you will feel a lot of huge damage from my Blade Master compared to others. Whatever if the others have the same items will do much more or not. So put these points on yourself, and let's begin with our Blade Master first. Okay, so starting with Blade Master. So Blade Master, the first character made in this game. Kinda it's a hard character, for sure it's a melee character to say. and it's one of the tanks on this game, as there is not a lot of tanks on this game, but Blade Master one of these tanks. So kinda the character is a lot fast, it's a lot good, it's have a lot of resist, have a lot of shields, have a lot of things, can make you play and have a lot of fun on this character. And actually it have 3 spits, so it have fire spit, lightning spit, and third spit. It's something like shadow, so it's available with third spit also. Third spit kinda easier than the others. Second spit is the hardest between all of them, and the fire spit is a bit in between all of them, like a bit easy, a bit hard. But in general, the character is a harder character for sure. And the starter can help his party by tanking for sure and take the boss or take the aggro into him and make his party take his things easy. And actually for the skills that can help them, he have a shield, can give it for all of his party or 6-member party, so it can resist 5 attacks, and that can help his party to stay without taking a lot of damage on a lot of time and save all of them. So in PvP, this character kinda hard, more harder than playing the PvE, as it have a lot of options. You can stun, to fly combos, to doing a lot of things, so you can make your stun do more, you can make knockdowns and a lot of things. So actually it's not easy character to play with, especially on lightning. But in general, it's actually a lot super good character, a lot having fun with this character, and it's one of the best in this game, I can say for sure. Also, Blade Master is having a lot of mobility, can make him make mechanics on the dungeons so easy, especially on third specialization, as he can dash forward, can make things a lot easy, especially tanking on bosses and doing this mechanics, something a lot of things like this depending on the tank. So it's actually, maybe it's the best tank on the game because of these points, as it can go for good mobility, tanking so well, can tank whatever, how strong is his opponent or his boss in front of him. So kinda it's made a lot of good for the fun points and the mobility and tanking. All of the things is good on this character. Second character we have is Force Master. So Force Master is the mage on this game, like using fire and ice normally. It's available with 3 spits and available on new characters and some others for sure. It have in Lin, and you can have it on Gon also. The character kinda doing a lot of damage, doing heavy damage almost in most of our life, like in old days or maybe now. It have 3 specialization. First specialization is fire, then ice, then third spit is lightning. So for ice and fire, they are using fire and ice normally, but actually it's specific more doing for the fire or the ice, and both of them is good for sure. For the third spit is lightning, and it's kinda a lot different and have some different things for sure to do. This character for sure is not a tank, but actually in Force Master in general, in between ranged character, it's kinda can tank if you want to tank with this thing. For sure it's so good character, so easy to fight with it if you will doing the damage, or if you will fight in closer range. It's so good on these points, and actually it's super good in PvP. So this character is one of the few characters maybe you can play with the 3 spits in PvP and you will feel good. So fire and PvP kinda killing so easy or so fast if you can get your combos well. Ice kinda taking a long time, and actually it's super hard to kill, as it can make himself ice or can make himself ice with another skill, and make some skills can make ranged can't attack him. So kinda it's not easy to kill this character. And for third spit actually a bit lazy in starting in PvP, but actually when we reach his final form, you can say, it can make a lot of damage and it's hard to kill, and actually it's resist almost a lot of attacks and a lot of things. So in terms of mobility, the starter on ranged is having a good mobility, can reach so high places with jumping and dashing backwards and anything like this. So it's kinda can do mechanics well on the dungeons, especially if you need something to reach a far range or anything like this. It's super good at this point. Force Master also can help his party with iframe. This iframe is making a freeze for your party, so actually you will not take any damage as long as you are still freezing. You can go out of freeze if you want to, that's something about you, but actually it will help you in resist some damages. If, as an example, boss will make a wipe aura with 5 hits, you can resist all these 5 hits with no problem, and it's one of the best iframes on all of this team. Okay, next on our list is Gunner. So Gunner actually have 2 spits, have Shadow Spit and the Fire Spit. Fire Spit is the first specialization and Shadow is the second specialization. So kinda the starter for sure is ranged, it's Gunner, so normally it will be ranged. For sure it can't tank. Its starter doing so heavy damage most of time, especially on fire. Fire have so high burst when you start fighting. It can make super high damage, then go down so much in compare to the highest damage you can go for the first. For the Shadow, kinda the lazy character, or you can say it have a high burst but not the like fire. Then it will begin to go down, then will begin to go up slowly with fighting for sure. That's for sure if you didn't lose your way and play with the wrong skills or doing anything wrong. For the skills available for his party, so actually it had before a skill can make receipt for your party, but now it's just receipting yourself. So actually Gunner now is not helping his party but actually helping himself. So they will play for themselves, just a characters that doing damage and nothing more. If I will say it's easy or hard, so Gunner is easy for sure, especially on fire. It's easier than Shadow. Kinda maybe sometimes you will just right click and doing nothing more than this. It's kinda so good on the VS character, so much fun, having a good mobility. You can jump all the map all the way. It's good on mechanics. In PvP, that's not bad to say. It's not super good and not super bad. Actually good, but actually especially you will play with Shadow most of time, as Shadow is the best at the moment. Kinda it's good character, have a good mobility, jumping here and here, kinda annoying a bit on PvP, but actually if you catch it off guard you will kill it so easy. Next on our list we have a Kung Fu Master. So kinda Kung Fu Master is a good character, it's a good tank for sure, it's tanking character, and as melee for sure character, it's doing so good damage, actually tanking so well, not easy to kill, but it's hard to play with this character, especially on PvP. It's kinda the character that not easy to do damage and do combos with it. For sure you have to learn it very well if you want to play with this character. But actually it's super fun to play with this character as it's playing Kung Fu and attacking with punches and legs and things like this. So kinda this character normally had before blue buff, or what we call it blue buff, was given to your party, but now after Unreal Engine 4 it's just buffing himself and doing the damage. So actually the starter, I will say how it will help his party, it will help his party with tanking for sure, and normally doing the damage and all of this. So specs for the starter, we have 3 specializations here. We have fire and wind, and actually the wolf stance or the iron stance, whatever you want to call it. So actually fire, maybe it's the best on PvP in general. It's kinda good for PvP. For wind, actually it's a bit lost in these days, but maybe it will back again, but it's the most funniest one to play with. Super good and super great to play with this type, but actually it's a bit lost on these days. For the third specialization, and that's what most players playing with, especially on PvE, not on PvP, it's a bit hard on rotation. It can make Kung Fu turn to a wolf, and actually doing so high damage on this wolf form. For PvP, as I said, it's fire the best, but actually players with new players mostly playing with third spit, as they will turn to wolf and maybe they will kill you in 1 second if they have a good chance on this sense. For the mobility, it's a bit heavy compared to Blade Master, but it's not bad. It's not taking damage so easy. It can tank maybe a lot better than normal, as it have skills that can make him vision and then take so much attacks and a lot of the things that make the starter is super hard to kill on PvP especially, and maybe it's one of the best characters on PvP at these days. Next we have Destroyer. So Destroyer is a melee class for sure. From the looking you feel it tank character, but actually it's not a tank, and I am not sure why they didn't make this character as a tank, but actually it's the most character taking damage on the game. It has the highest HP on the game. it have the highest maybe resists on the game. It's kinda, I can say, for the third specialization, especially for the starter, I feel it's a fortress moving and nothing can destroy it. So actually from the name, it's a destroyer for sure. It's starter using an axe. The starter, you feel it so lazy or anything like this, but actually in general the starter is super fast and it's actually spinning a lot, so maybe they call it spin to win on PvP, but actually it's kinda more fun than what you expected when you play the starter. I feel it boring when I saw it first, but actually the starter is super funny when you play with it, especially when you play Earth or anything away from third specialization. The starter, like a Force Master, have the same iframe, but not freezing. It's like making you stuck in a rock and you can move away from the sand. So that's a skill you can help your party with. The starter for sure is not that super high on DPS. I can say it's one of the lowest DPS on the game, and actually don't have so much burst. His burst is super low in compared to other characters. Like some characters can go 2 times your normal DPS, but this one actually not going even 10% maybe more than your DPS, and that's something bad for who hate to make DPS. But in general, this character have so much resist. It's almost not taking that much damage on fights. It's not taking a lot of CCs because it have a lot of skills that make you don't take any CC. So I can say this character is super good on standing, or for these guys who don't like to take CCs or don't like to take any damage. For the specs we have Earth spec, we have Shadow, we have third specialization, something like light you can say. It made him get an armor that made a resist for some damage and a lot of things, and the buff for you, a lot of things like this. For the mobility on this character, it's kinda faster than what you sent, as your spin giving you a lot of movement speed, so it can help for sure in mechanics and anything like this. For PvP, this character kinda annoying as it spend a lot of time and it's hard to counter, so you can counter his spin, you have to knock down him. So if you don't have that much of knockdowns on your characters, you can't counter his spin so easy, and actually it's hard to do damage on him as he resists a lot of things, especially on third speed like what I mentioned before. So it's kinda the character that not taking damage in general, and it's good to play with, and it's not hard character, it's easy character for sure. So let's go for the next character we have, and this character is Assassin. So actually Assassin is the most funny character maybe in this game in general, and the hardest character in this game in general also. It's kinda melee character for sure, without you even think. It's Assassin, so normally it will beat melee. So actually it's using a dagger. This character is going stealth and going from around you, going from anywhere. It's hard to predict what he can do. Not easy character to play with for sure, but it's actually one of the most characters you will love in this game without anything, and the most character maybe a lot of players like it away from they can play it or they can't play it. And for sure it's super annoying when you play with this character on PvP or anything like this. For sure Assassin can't tank. If you want to tank, maybe you can do it, but it's actually not made for tanks for sure. This character have one skill can help his party. Normally on all the days he have blue buff also, but now it's self buff, it's just for him. And just the skill he can help his party with is a stealth, so he can make a big stealth, can make all of his party stealth with him. And actually that's what you can use on dungeons when you are on boss fights. Away from boss fight, he can transport his friends with a flower called a lotus. He will put this one and he move forward whatever the place he will go for, and then he can teleport all of them to him again. So kinda you can use this to avoid some fights you don't need on dungeons, on raids or anything like this. And with the use for this character, because it's super fast, you can do this so easy. For specializations for the starter, so it's available with 3 specs. First spec is like a poison one, second spec is a shadow, third spec is kinda called a phantom, and actually it made him transform to something different. And actually he will turn not to assassin, but it will turn to maybe a sword master or blade master or anything like this. He will do so heavy damage, not taking that much damage, and actually he will go away from the world of assassin for sure. Away from this, the other two is for sure the real assassins you can say. On PvP, the 3 specs is super good. Actually preferred to be played with the shadow or phantom, especially that's the most played For assassins, for sure some play with this Venom one, it's good for sure, but it's actually a bit different on style, on playing than the other two. Maybe closer to Shadow, but not closer to Third Spit. For Third Spit, kinda that one doing heavy damage, but it's away from assassins like I said. It's not an real assassin, it's a different on style by far, and actually you will taunt your characters sometimes and stand in front of them on PvP, and that's something for sure not made for assassins in general. But Shadow, actually this character that tricky can go and still put a flower and he can fight you. When you touch him he will go back to this flower, so it's not easy to kill this character. For sure it's the best character to escape from anything, and that's what made it so fun to use for sure, as you can fight and run again and fight and run again. So kinda this character is not easy because of the sense, it's not straightforward, it's not like standing back all the time, so kinda it's a great character for sure. So going for next for our list, so we have Warlock. So kinda Warlock is a strange character a bit, but it's super fun to play with. Away from it was a bit lazy character on old days, but these days kinda it's a lot faster than what it was before. To have a good looking skills. For sure this character is a ranged character. This character kinda have 3 spits. You have first spit, what we call it Ice, second spit Shadow, third spit River. So actually as always third spit is simply different, a lot different than other two. So what you can see now, it's the third spit. For the Ice, it actually was the laziest one in between all of them. Shadow kinda a lot faster, and both of them can have a thrall, they can summon it, and this thrall you can use it for some buffs for sure for you and your party, and I will talk about them. For third spit, actually it's doing this buffs without even have this thrall, so I don't need this thrall. So what this character can give to your party, simply it will give you one of the best buffs, and was the best buff on the game most of the time. So this buff, it will make your clothes change to a dark blue tint with a wings, and this one is giving you a lot of damage, and it can make some skills awaiting to other characters and in your characters, and we'll call it awaiting skills. This awaiting skills will do higher damage than the normal skills you had on this place. So it's super important buff for sure for your party, and actually it have another buff called Time Distortion. Time Distortion can make your character simply reduce the cooldown for all of the skills or some of your skills for yourself and your party, especially who are so close to you. So you have a lot of decrease on cooldown, that mean you will use these skills again, that mean you will do a lot of damage with your party, and that's super good for sure for the Warlock. So the Warlock actually one of the two characters that a lot like them to see in the party for sure. We need all the buffs we can get, especially when we're going for raids, so we need Wardens or Warlocks because they have the same buff, and for sure Astromancer, that's when I will talk about it for sure. On PvP, so actually the starter can kill you in solo time, so actually for me I feel it's need a nerf on this point. For third spit, kinda standing so well on the fighting, it's not killing you so fast or anything like this, but actually it's not easy to kill and have a lot of stuns, a lot of CCs in general, and it's not easy to fight with this thing for sure. For the other two spits, for sure you will use your thrall can stun, can help you, he can stand next to you, you can make him take the damage in your place, sometimes you can switch your place with him, so things will make Warlocks not that easy to kill, but actually if you can find their weak point, you will kill them so easy. In terms of mobility, this character is not high in mobility, especially first and second specialization. Third maybe a bit better, as he can dash 2 times and he have a skill can copy the last one of these 2 dashes, or can copy these 2 dashes, so he can dash 4 times, and that can help on mobility a bit, but still it's a lazy class and I can say it's a bit slow in general. Next on our list is Soul Fighter. Soul Fighter is kinda combined between Force Master to Kung Fu Master. This character is range and melee together, but actually it's melee in general. Most of time you will use it as a melee. You can switch to range for some more skills for sure, and that's especially important on PvP. This character is not having that much of buffs to say. it can give your party, can give them a lot of health, as it can give them a heal and made their health going up. So actually it's making all of your party 10 more than normal. And actually it have another skill is super important for your party. It made them raise all of the dead, especially on your party. For sure for your alliance it will not raise them, you will just raise your party, whatever is your party, but all of the dead characters on the game you will can raise them together, and all of them can come to you or stand on their places. That's about your choice on this skill. To say the starter sadly is not having that high damage to say, and that's a bad problem about the starter that made him one of the less starters to play in this game. But the starter I can say, away from it's easy or hard, the starter is kinda so great to play with. I like the starter, it's super fun, especially when you play ice. For sure it's available with 2 specs, I forgot to mention this point, ice and earth. And third specialization is coming soon. It's came or it's happened on Korea, but I am talking about Europe and North America. It's not available yet, it's coming so soon. So third specialization, as I heard, it will make some changes on this point, so maybe it will be high on DPS when that happen for sure. In terms of PvP, this character is kinda not that easy to play with on PvP, and actually have a lot of points. Not easy to kill like other characters. Some characters, if you just can CC your opponent, at some points you can kill them so easy. This character have a lot of work to do, so he can kill, especially if switching to range to multiply combos and going down to normal playing melee and things like this. For mobility and resist, this character have so much resist, it can dash forward a lot of time, so that's made him reach a lot of good places. Especially his heal also can give movement speed, so all of the things can help this character to do a good job in mechanics and anything like this. So class number 9 we have Archer. So actually Archer is a hard class in general. It's normally ranged, but actually in the first split what is light, you will have to stay closer to your opponent, so maybe you will go for the melee range or a bit to a ranged range. For the other split is wind kinda tricky a bit, it's easier to use than light, and you'll play as ranged, so that will can make things a lot easy for you. So this starter in general have so good traits, especially on PvP. It have good things. Normally he was resetting cooldowns and the thing is changed like what happened on Gunner, so it reset your own skills. It have so heavy damage in general, this character. It have a skill, can you put it on the boss, and actually all the damage the boss take, you will make a percentage from this damage as your damage. So the sense can help the starter to do a lot of damage for sure. It's kinda hard to use, so not easy to play with this starter. It's super funny character, have a good mobility, playing so well and so funny to use, especially on light. On PvP, actually the 2 specs, both of them is so good, so kinda light is the best, and that's the most preferred one. For new players, maybe wind is the best, as it have a skill can almost kill you full HP sometimes, and it can be tricky a bit as it can stealth and it can do a lot of different things, and it can hunt you to go to some good skills and do so heavy damage to you. That's what made some players playing with wind and not playing with light. Next on our list is Warden. So Warden is another character as a tank class. It's have a good resist. It's like something like Destroyer if we can talk about it. So for new players, it's the best tank for tanking, as it have so good resist and have a lot of things can make him stand like a beast and not taking that much damage. For sure this class is melee. For sure it's tank. Have 2 specs, not having 3 specs, it's just 2 specs. So it have ice and have lightning. So for sure the ice one or the guardian one is the second spec. It's better for PvP especially as in PvE. It's good for PvE and PvP for sure, by the way, but it's better for PvP. So for this character is having solo mobility. In terms of mobility, it's so bad for sure. So tanking on this starter with mobility is not something for him, so that made Blade better than him on tanking. Away from this, it's super good on tanking for sure. It have a skill called resilience, or have something you can call a shield more than his normal HP. So I have normal HP and this shield, so to take damage he need to trash this shield on him, then he begin to take damage. In terms of PvP, the starter, like I said, playing with ice, it's a good starter, hard to kill, standing so well, having some good skills and some good CC skills, so it can make him stand like a beast. And when he can get a good stun on you, he can do something called Divine Strike. This skill can teach you almost full HP. It's a bit lazy to hit and it's not easy to hit, but actually if he hit it on you, maybe you will die full HP. So that's kinda something to make him so good as a character in general. For sure the starter can help his party with soul burn. This soul burn for sure it will light Warden, or sorry, light Warlock. This skill can give you a high boost for your damage. For sure it's super important for anyone that made him with Warlock for sure needed in dungeons because of this one. Maybe not needed as tank that much, but it's needed at least for this buff, as it will make a lot of difference for sure for your party. So to help your party tanking, and for sure this buff is the best for this character. Next on our list we have another mage, and it's available just for lane character, and that's Summoner. Summoner is a special character, especially a lot of deals like the starter. It's made for deals more than anything. It have a cat next to it, and this cat can attack with you all the time. It can raise you when you're dead. It can help your party. It can tank bosses sometimes. So this cat kinda annoying. Maybe it made me hate cats at this point because of the starter, but actually the starter for sure is a ranged character. Can tank with cat sometimes, for sure it's not always, and can make the boss look to the cat and can save the tank sometimes because of this time. I can say this character is a support character in general. It have healing. It can make stealth like assassin, so it can have the same stealth like assassin, can help his party to avoid some damage. The starter available with 3 specializations, so have earth and wind, and third spec like called the fantasy. All of those 3 specs is kinda not bad to say. The starter is not that heavy damage, away from third spec came to do a lot of damage. I don't feel this myself. I feel it's the lowest character on DPS between all of them, but it's actually have his points, what make him good and make him playable. For his mobility is not that good on mobility to say. It's not having that much mobility, away from it's not easy to touch if I will talk about PvP, because it having the stealth and have some resist skills and the healing and a lot of things can make him move a bit faster. But actually it's not that super high in mobility. It's in between to say. On PvP it's kinda so hard to play with normally if you don't touch the real one, as the cat can stand and take the damage for you. The cat can stun you and can knock down you and can actually annoying you with a lot of ways. You can touch him, then he switch place with his cat. So the starter can do a lot of strange things, can make him not easy to kill, and actually it's super annoying to kill. Away from it's not the starter that can kill you so fast, but actually mistakes with the starter can be so bad for sure. Next on our list is Blade Dancer, and that's for sure another lane class. You can't make Blade Dancer in another send but just lane. It's kinda called the Lean Blade Master on all the days, because it's kinda something like a Blade Master but actually in the lean styles. So to say this starter is called Blade Cancer also, because this starter is kinda so hard to kill and kinda super annoying to say when playing against it, especially on PvP. The starter doing so much damage and doing so good damage in general. It have the same shield as Blade Master that still can help your party with. Super good class, and especially it's super funny, it's super good, having some strange skills. So kinda it's one of the funnest character to play with in this game. So for the specs, we have 3 specs on this character. We have lightning, we have wind, we have third spec kinda like summoning a strange beast. You can call it shadow or anything like this, and it's kinda a lot different for sure. For the third spec, like always, it can summon something you can fight with. It's fighting with you, you're doing damage and it's doing damage with you. For the others, for PvP, so actually lightning is so good in PvP, wind is so good in PvP. Third spec kinda not a lot is understanding this character, but it's actually good also in PvP in general. For sure the starter is spinning a lot, so it's not easy to do it. It have a lot of resists, a lot of things can make you attack. It have some counters, even to drown the counter or even your blocks counter most of things. So kinda it's super annoying to play with the starter for sure, as you can't touch it so easy. But when you can touch it, maybe you can kill it so fast, and that's the point because it have a low HP for sure. In terms of mobility, the starter is having so much mobility, especially the shield or the hormone block it have, like the one that have in Blade Master. It can give you movement speed, spin give you movement speed. The starter is fast in general, so all of the things that made the starter is good on mobility, away from a lot not preferring the starter on raids or anything like this, because it's just having mobility and some damage and just shield and nothing more than this to do for your party. Okay, next we have Astromancer. So Astromancer is another character made for just lean characters. Sadly, I was hoping the starter was anything else. The starter is not easy to play with, especially on Starcaster Spit. That's the first spit. It's kinda something like you feel it coming from the space. Second spit kinda lightning, and it's kinda funny to play with, having so much strange skills, looting on lightning, so kinda this starter you feel it unique on these things. This starter have the best buff in the game that make most of players like want the starter with them, even if it's super low in level and they don't for super high places or anything like this, because just the buff. The buff can go for all of your alliance, it's not just your party. So if you are going with a raid with 12 players, you will give it for all the 12 players. This buff can increase your misted damage, or sorry, misted powers in general. So anyone have missed it, it will increase with 20%. This thing can make them doing so heavy damage because of these things. And for the character in general, it have a good DPS, doing so high damage also, but it's not super high like other characters or some other characters. His mobility is not that high, it's not bad to say. On PvP, the starter I feel it more going to PvE character more than PvP, but actually lightning on this one or storm, this spec kinda having some mobility, having some stealth, something, a lot of things not easy to play against him, and actually it's doing so heavy damage. If you can get your damage for sure, or you can find your opponent off guard, so that's what made it. It's kinda bad on playing on PvP, but actually if you touch this character it will die so easy, like most of characters playing as a ranged for sure. Also this character have another buff, can make your attack power for your party and increasing also, so the sense can help. For the lightning, it can give movement speed to his character, so that's something is good for PvP on battleground or anything like this. It can help using this sense for sure. And almost that's the most important points about Astromancer. So a lot of players for sure preferring playing with Astromancer as it's good character in general, and because of this buff for sure. Last character we have today is the Dual Blade, and this starter is the last starter in the game. It's the number 14 character in the game in general, and the last starter they made it. So the starter at the moment is having the best DPS on the game. It's kinda hard to play with the starter, especially it have two specializations. One is called the Lotus and the other one is called Shifting Blade. This Shifting Blade is doing super high damage and the highest burst in all of the game. It's kinda, you feel it, you are hating the game when you play with this character, especially on the burst, can go so much high compared to his normal DPS. For sure I expect it will get a nerf sooner or later, so don't pitch the starter as it's super high DPS, so I will play it and all of the things. It's kinda one of the hardest starter to play with, especially in Shifting Blade, like what I mentioned. For sure it's a melee class with two blades, not good on tanking, have nothing for his party. It's not giving anything to his party, it's just a solo character. It's going to carry your damage and doing high for DPS and nothing more than this. For his mobility, it's kinda having a good mobility. This character kinda doing different ways to doing damage. His spits is not easy to play with, especially like I mentioned, Shifting the Blade. It have high damage, but actually it have a lot of delay when he doing his skills sometimes. So this sense can make you doing a bad damage, because maybe you will take a skill from the bosses, can make you knock back or whatever you will take, and actually you wanted to avoid it and you can't avoid it. So this last maybe is doing so high damage, but it's not easy to play with. For PvP, actually this character in Shifting the Blade especially have a combo almost it's not breakable, and you can't go away from this as he started. So he can knock you back about 5 times, 8 times to 10 times, maybe anything like this. So maybe you, if you will did this combo well, you will take knockbacks until you die, and you can't do anything. Even if you have your tab escape, you can't use it, so you will die anyway. Okay, so now we know all the characters and what they are doing, and all of the most of the good informations about them. So how I can pick my character? First thing, that's advice from me to you guys, don't pick the character because it's doing the highest DPS. Actually, the point is super simple like this. This character is doing today a high DPS, like Dual Blade as example is the best at the moment. After sometimes, maybe after 1 year, maybe after 3 months, who knows, he will be not the highest on DPS. So actually, if you will go for every character is highest on DPS, you will change characters every 2-3 months, who knows, maybe every 1 month at some points, and that's something for sure not good for you, and that will make you close the game and quit it so easy and delete it. So actually, when you pitch your character, pitch something you feel it really funny for you. Pick character you will feel it's the best for you, whatever it's doing so high damage, doing so low damage, whatever you want. For the spits, some characters have spits for sure higher than the others. As I will say, my Blade Master as example at the moment, the best for him is Lightning, what is called Singing Blade. That's the best for the moment. From sometimes it was third spit, sometimes they say Fire is the best. So every sometime things can change. So you can play if you prefer this scene, play with it. If you don't prefer it, don't switch and just play whatever you are playing. Like as example, when I changed it from third spit to lightning, I sacrificed a lot of things to get some better points on another things. Like as example, third spit so easy to tank, third spit have good burst, third spit can make me doing so easy job, especially in tanking, on fighting, on general, on bosses, and all of the things I don't have on lightning as example. On lightning, I have so much fun on this character as I'm going forward and backward and doing all of these things. But actually, when I can say about tanking, for sure my tanking is still going down because of this thing. For sure it's increasing because I'm doing something new, but in general I am doing so bad because of this. Like I have as example to stay on 6 o'clock, I find myself on 9 o'clock, and I have to go fast to reach 6 o'clock, so maybe I will do it too late, so that will affect my party and all of these things. So kinda, if I will say, lightning maybe doing more to doing the damage more than going for tanking or anything like this. So these points can make a lot of difference for sure when you choose your character or choose your spec for sure in general. For me, as example, on Force Master when I played it, I played Ice because I liked Ice more than anything. Fire was the highest spec. After sometimes Ice began to be the highest spec. After some time, third spec came to the game for the Force Master, and actually it's the highest in spec. So actually I switched to third spec. Then from some days just I switched to Fire for a change, so I can play in different way, as I heard Fire was the best on DPS and I actually wanted to play Fire. So all of these points, put it in your mind before you choose. And now I will make you some groups so it can make you easier to choose between all of these things and you can understand things. So first, for ranged classes, you have Force Master, Astromancer, Warlock, Gunner, Archer and Summoner. This 6 character is ranged characters, so for who prefer playing as ranged, you have these classes to choose between them. For melee classes, you have Blade Master, Kung Fu Master, Destroyer, Assassin, Soul Fighter, Warden, Blade Dancer, Dual Blade. For sure I call Soul Fighter melee more than ranged, away from it's between them, but because of its last items you are standing on melee most of time, so it's a melee character. If you are choosing character with important buff, so you have 3 characters to choose between. For Soulburn skill, you have Warlock and Warden. For Mystic, or the buff called Polarity, you have Astromancer as the highest buff for sure. So you have these 3 characters if you want a good buff. If you want to play with 10 characters, you have these choices. You have Blade Master, you have Warden, you have Kung Fu Master, and you have Soul Fighter on Earth actually having a tank skill, so you can tank with them. For sure, you can use your melee classes as tank, that's something about you, but I'm talking about the real tank characters in this game. If you will play or want some characters to be fun to play with, so away from fun is different from some other characters to some other characters or some other players. I mean, some having fun playing with ranged, some having fun playing with melee, some having fun with playing with characters as fast, some having fun with playing with lazy characters. So I can't really say about this, but for me, what I feel about fun or real fun characters to play, I will say Blade Master, Assassin, Archer, Force Master, Blade Dancer, and Warlock. The starters what I feel fun for me. For sure for you it can make different for sure. If I will put Send as easy to hard characters, so I will say for easy characters you have Summoner, super easy, Warden, super easy especially if you want a tent and easy, Warlock, not that hard to say, Destroyer, kinda easy also, Gunner, super easy, Blade Dancer, easy, Soul Fighter on PvE is easy, on PvP is a bit hard. Okay, for hard, for Blade Master, for sure Blade Master is hard character, Kung Fu Master, maybe a bit harder than Blade Master, Dual Blade, super hard, Assassin, super hard also, Astromancer, kinda okay in between, Archer also is hard, Force Master, kinda between hard and easy to say, it's kinda something in between in general. For PvE you will feel it easy, but it have sometimes complete starting to doing the DPS for sure, but away from this on PvP kinda it's hard and have some points, but it can do a lot of damage and you can win with it so easy. So if I put things for characters having a third specialization, so you have Blade Master, you have Force Master, you have Kung Fu Master, you have Destroyer, Assassin, Warlock, you have Blade Dancer, and Summoner. That's the 8 classes we have now have third spec. Next one will be Soul Fighter and actually super soon, and next will be Gunner. For the other 4 you will not see third spec until a long time for sure, so don't put them on your mind on the third spec point. For whole IT PvP I will say characters maybe you will feel it the best, or maybe you feel it the funniest, or having a lot of things can do. So I can say Blade Master, Kung Fu Master, Destroyer is good, Assassin, Warlock can say a bit, then can say maybe Dual Blade. Others kinda a bit good and a bit bad. Blade Dancer for sure is super good, that's something for sure. For new players I can say Summoner is good also, Warden is good for new players, Soul Fighter kinda not bad also. Destroyer for new players is also good. Assassin for new players for sure is bad. It's something, it's a character so hard to play with, and actually most of players when they are playing as new they don't to fight so close range, so for sure with Assassin they will die for sure. Maybe third spec can make them kill, but actually even if they kill or if they winning or if they doing anything like this, that's not something will always happen, because when you are playing with good players you will understand how they are playing and they are doing aggressively like crazy, so you will avoid them for some time, then you can kill them so easy for sure. This I said enough for today for the things. So like what I said, don't play with starter because it's doing so much DPS, but play with starter you are preferring to play with, so you can play it and have fun with this, and for sure you will do a better damage with the starter because you know how to play it very well. Away from you can play with some characters with solo DPS or some high DPS, and actually you can do a lot of mistakes with these characters and you tend to do your DPS, so for sure you will do nothing after all and you will have no fun with playing with this character. You will close the game, you will quit and nothing more. So think about this very well. If you are making some ults, maybe you can make anything because you will not feel anything bad for you, so play with what you feel it good for you and don't play with what you don't like it. It's something normal for sure. For someone like me, I play with everything on any game, on any place, whatever, what is this game, so I play with all the characters on this game, so for sure I have no problem with playing with anything. But if you will say I will change my main as example, for sure I will say no. I prefer my Blade Master the most, whatever, even if I like Assassin for so much to say to play with, but my main is Blade Master and I will never change it, whatever what will happen. Even if they delete Blade Master I will play it. I don't care about anything, I will play it. So that's the point. Play with what you love. That will make you play and you will enjoy the game at the most. So with this at the end of the video, for sure it's super long video to say, but actually I have to say everything I can say. So anyway, hope you enjoy the video for sure. If you want a video for all of the animations for the characters, you can tell me and say on the comments, and actually after you say, just make a lot of likes on this comment, because I will not make it so easy for you. It's a super tiring video and it will make me tired for sure, so I will not make it this easy. So anyway, with this I will say thank you for watching, guys, and forget to subscribe for sure, like the video if you feel it video to like it for sure, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.